Hey y'all, we back again, man. Another episode. I told you we can keep this thing going. This joker here, man, he ain't getting the memo, man. It's always black. Come on my show. This guy ain't getting the memo. Man, you know how pretty Ricky is.
Next time I'll do it.
But hey y'all, welcome back, man. We're gonna continue to talk to the author of The World Renowned, Mr. Lee Wright, out of Greenville, South Carolina, and we're going to continue to hit this book called The Bubble. And today we're going to dig in another chapter, man. We're going to talk about another section of the book, and this section is called The Fixing of the Unbroken Me. The Fixing of the Unbroken Me, brother. You know, now I told y'all that we was going to talk about culture conditioning, right? But the thing about culture conditioning, that's we can talk about that all day. But no matter what you talk about in this book, it's gonna go back to culture conditioning. Mm-hmm. Because when you and I'm not gonna steal the whole tell y'all the whole thing, I'm gonna let him talk about it. But when you go into culture conditioning, that's why the fixing of the unbroken me is in there. You know, elaborate on that, Mr. And first, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for inviting me over again. Right. Sorry about the black shirt. No, I didn't get the memo, but I'll do better.
It's not out there, man. You can really wear whatever you want to. Preferably blue and white. If y'all know what I mean. Blue fine.
Culture conditioning is woven into everything we do, right? It's like the carpet that we walk on in comfort. Yet uncomfortable. The fixing of the unbroken me. So one question is, why do we think we're broken? What are we comparing that to? Are we comparing it to the things that we need and that we do for our lives? Or are we're incorporating everything around us into that? And then if we can't achieve those things, are we saying, okay, now we're broken?
Now, do you want me to tell you how I think? Or, no, how should I put this? Do you want me to tell you reality, or you want me to tell you the book answer? Reality is, we as people, what we do, we let society, culture conditioning, tell us we're broken. Culture conditioning tell us that, like, if you wear a red shirt and I wear a black shirt, you're broke.
Wear a uniform.
Yeah, one of us is broke. Mm-hmm. You know, because it goes back to what we was talking about earlier, how society tells us that we should all be as one. Mm-hmm. We can't be as one, because if we was at one, red shirts, you know, everybody who wears red shirt is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's broken.
Yeah.
And everybody who wear black shirts, we're right.
Yeah, right. So the conflict starts.
Yes.
The conflict begins.
Yes.
I think in talking about that, I think it's a thing where in society, from birth, or not necessarily from birth, but from a young age, we're taught that happiness is being one with others, being one, the same mind, the same, focus, the same, and that's supposed to bring harmony. So let me ask you a question, right? So I like butter pecan ice cream. I really do. And you?
Chocolate.
Automatically the conflict begins, right? As simple as your favorite food. So if we're trying to say, okay, let's be one on the same accord in the same bubble, individually, we have so many differences that should be not only respected but embraced by another person. But we can never be one. It is impossible as I see it. Maybe we can get some scientists on here to prove different, that two humans can completely be one.
But Lee, society says that we can be one. Society says that only people who like chocolate ice cream, they're gonna be together. And people who like butter pecan ice cream, like you and people I know that like butter pecan ice cream, y'all should all hang out. Because that's what society says. In order for us to be in harmony,
Yeah.
then we all need to eat butter pecan ice cream. That's what society is telling us.
So automatically, one person is emotionally oppressed if that happens, because they're going to have to let go of the things that drive them, or the things that they're passionate about, or things that they like, go just to appease the other person. And how long can that last? If it's in the workplace or under the same roof, how long can a person live in mental and emotional oppression?
Well, there's one or two things going to happen. Either that person is going to start liking butter pecan ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Assimilation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or that person is going to be so miserable, they're going to start hating everybody who likes butter pecan ice cream.
And the people who like the person that like the butter pecan ice cream.
Yes.
So everybody is victimized from the oppressed.
Just because society says, in order for us to coexist, you got to like what I like. And if you don't, then you out of our game.
So the funny part to what you're saying is the person that likes the butter pecan ice cream has the audacity to ignore the person who doesn't.
Yes.
Right? And expect that person to just accept their environment.
So what you're saying is, in this situation where society is telling us that in order for us to coexist and be in harmony, we must like the same things. But what ends up happening, the more dominant person in that situation is going to be what we're going to lean towards because they're the dominant person.
Society has taught us to be dominant like that and not really care about what somebody else wants if we accept the cultural conditioning. It teaches people to get to the top. And in order to get to the top, you got to have a certain mindset to not really care about those behind you if you're that type of person. Because you have to beat people. You have to win, right? So let's say that winning has become, in our society, the staple, the primary golden carrot in front of us, right? You never get it. Just put it 2 inches in front of you, you never get it, but it's the sparkle of your eye, it's the smell of your nose, it's the taste of your mouth to seek, right? So, as the bubble says, my bubble says, is that you have to respect everybody independently, as individuals, right? Because we can't be one. But respect that person's perspective on their life and how their life ignites their passion on the things they want. So, and the earlier part was the fixing of the unbroken. How are you broken if you're fixing yourself, or if you love what you do, or passionate about what you do?
Yes.
That's not broken. That's you driven, right?
Yes. I came up with, and it's the motto for one of the mottos for Real Talk, Real Files with a Man, and it's just because my truth isn't your truth, it doesn't make my truth a lie.
Correct.
And I believe that. And so you can't tell me, like when I was reading this part of the book, in other words, you can't tell me I'm broken. You can't tell me I'm broken, because my brokenness and your brokenness is two different things.
Correct.
And I'm the judge, the jury, and the executioner on what I consider broken.
Correct.
Not you.
Correct. That's the way it should be. But
I told you I was going to give you the book answer and the reality answer.
But we are conditioned to look at everybody else and ignore the things that we need for our life experience, right? Because everybody has an individual life experience. I think that people say, from my eyes or my point of view, that's real stuff, because a person's point of view is connected to their psyche, is connected to their experience, is connected to their mindset. And if a person is just convinced that they're supposed to care about everybody else before they care for themselves, at some point they're going to give up. They're going to quit because it's unsustainable. It's unsustainable. It makes people say they have anxiety. It makes people say, I'm not succeeding. It makes people say, my life is worthless.
So
right?
let's go back into that and dig a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to, let's say, kids in schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's dwindling down a lot now. Bullying. People used to always say, I'm being bullied. But what this is bullying ain't nothing but cultural conditioning. Bullying come from people being cultural conditioned that if you don't wear a black shirt, because what I just did, y'all, I gave y'all a classic case of bullying. He came in my neck of the woods and he got on a maroon shirt. Does it make any difference? No, it don't. But I told him, hey, Lee, that makes a big difference, man. You came on here and you didn't get the memo. You're supposed to have on a burgundy shirt. If I'm dominant enough and have enough of these yahoos following me, what ended up happening, now you're depressed, you have anxiety, and all these things because you saying to yourself, man, why didn't somebody tell me I was supposed to have on a black shirt? And you're not broken.
Correct.
Now, if you had came in here naked, you broke. I'm sorry. You know, hey, bro, I laugh and play, but not that way. But he's not broken, and that's what you're saying in this chapter.
Yeah. So think about that. Think about what you said with the following. Following, I think, has become profound with the technology. So it's not the physical bullying, it's the virtual bullying of if you don't have these things going on, you're not living right. You're not successful, or you need fixing. If you're not following or doing these things, and let me say what these things may be. If you're not, always online, if you're not making sure you work hard to purchase the big cars, the big house, the right clothes, the right brand names. If you're not doing those things, it's not signifying that you're successful. And then it's not signifying that you're not broken. Because if you're following, you got to get those things.
Yes.
In order to let the world see externally you're not broken, but internally it's a lot of pain. Because you have to lay down with yourself. Right?
Yes.
And when you lay down with yourself, when you think about the good in you, and you think about, and this is natural, I think everybody, unless they're just evil people, when they lay down, they think good things. When they wake up, they have a good intent.
Yeah, my whole saying, nobody goes to bed and wake up the next morning and think about what way can I ruin somebody's life.
Correct. Unless they just born evil.
Yeah.
Right, with malicious intent. And there are some people that have malicious intent, and that's their drive. But first off, let me say this right here: you and nobody on this planet is broken. It's a mindset, right? And the mindset says that what do I need to fix to handle my day-to-day business? If I can handle my day-to-day business, am I being successful? Well, you have to start and determine as you trim that fat, what is your day-to-day business? Now, let me say this right here, so this is a good one, right? Say you have children, right? And your children are 5 or 6. A lot of times in parenting, the mindset is to stay in the 1 and 2 year old area. So my child needs everything, my full attention.
Yes.
Right? So then when the child is a teenager, we're in the 5 and 6 area. My child needs full attention. So as we protect them from individuality, it becomes a burden after a minute because it's the rebellion, Right? We've all done it.
Yeah,
Nobody is exempt. From
Yeah,
that.
because just like you said, so now, in you have to do this at the level of your kids. You have a 2-year-old, but that 2-year-old know how to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, you can't be gaga Google into this
Correct.
kid.
That's right.
And then you have a teenager, and I find this so often. You find a teenager, and you still trying to protect this teenager from the world when the world is going to eat them up when they go out there because they was protected because you still at this 5-year-old stage.
So what if the perspective or a way would be protect the person from themselves? My approach. So because the outside your home or outside your protective barrier is the unknown frontier, right? So if you protect the child from them or the young adult or the adult from themselves, when they go out there, they won't do the things that cause,
If you give them a base.
Correct.
If you give them a base.
They shouldn't do it.
I feel like this. My concept is this. I use the Jesus concept.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 12, he was released. He was released. His parents pretty much released him, and he went into the temple and everything at the age of 12. So at the age of 12, society, culture conditioning has told us that at the age of 12, you're still a child. Even at the age of 15, 16, you're still a child. Mm-hmm. But now if you go out here and commit a crime, they're going to treat you as an adult.
Correct.
So my ideal as a parent, once a kid turns 12 years old, and I'm mainly talking about men or women, but not gender related, but when they go to the age 12 and go into that crossover into a teenager, I think you should go from being a parent to being a mentor.
Okay.
We talked about in the last episodes about mentoring. So now when you go from being a parent to a mentor, that means all this, hey, I'm putting you on punishment. If you still believe in spanking your kid, I'm spanking your kid. But now that this kid is 13 years old, okay, now it's time to mentor. So now when I come to you, you the kid. So I come to you, hey, Lee, you said you was gonna be home at 11 o'clock. It's 12:30. Oh, well, I had this, and this. No, I don't want no excuses from you. I'm just telling you, your word is what you gave me.
Business is kind of business.
Yeah, your word is what you gave me. So since your word is what you gave me, this is how I'm gonna treat you. So that means if you say that you're gonna be home at 11 o'clock, what I'm doing, I'm not punishing you. I'm gonna treat you like an adult now. So if you're gonna be home at 11 o'clock, I lock my doors at 11. The reason why I lock my doors at 11 because I want to be safe. I'm not punishing the kid. I'm mentoring the kid because I'm telling it it's repercussions for not doing what you're supposed to do. It's repercussions for not holding your word. Versus if you punishing them, now you're saying, oh, I'm gonna restrict you for 2 weeks or whatever. You show them, hey, this is what happens. Boom. Shock and all. Hey, 11 o'clock, I lock my doors. So that was your warning. Now you know my standards. And good night. We ain't talking no more.
And part of that comes from, like the Bible says, every individual gets a choice on what they do.
Yes.
So you get a choice on how you do that. Another person gets a choice on how they implement that. But what the Bible says is, as early as possible, prevent the young folks from having to be reprogrammed.
Okay,
right?
Before you go there, when do you think is the appropriate time to introduce the Bible? What age group?
I would say it's like this. As soon as a person gets ready to utter, Santa Claus bought you this, or that's Santa Claus, stop.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Because you got to deprogram that person from that and go through the pain of it's not one.
Yes.
Right? The Easter Bunny or all these fictional things that we all
Let me
did.
do a disclaimer. I still believe in Santa Claus. Don't worry about what this guy said.
That's in his Bible. He can do that, right? So I think as soon as a person, a mentor, parent, or whoever, as soon as they give them the cultural conditioned way stamp, stop and say, you know what? How can I just use myself as the provider as the sparkle in the child's eyes, right? So they have to self-market themselves to be the best on the planet,
Yes.
and not default it to a fictional TV character. Guess what? You know, like we say, we all wish we could get a redo. That's in the book too, the redo.
Yes.
And I would have not have done it as early as I wouldn't, you know, I cut it off early because I found out real early in my life, so I cut it real quick, you know, for my kids. But I think if we talked about implementing the bubble on children or young adults, just kind of be straightforward with them about things. That way you don't have to deprogram them or let them go down their journey thinking that's the truth.
So what you're saying is you as a kid, as soon as that kid start having a basic understanding of life,
Of media, what's coming in, the communication being fed into them.
it's instead of this kid going through his life at an early age being culturally conditioned into believing that there's a Santa Claus, there's an Easter Bunny, and don't forget there's Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
As soon as possible, when they start getting an understanding of life, we start conditioning them to reality versus cultural
Perfect.
conditioning.
Yes, 100%. Hold on. 100%. And I say this because we talk about fixing. Just think, so if I give culture conditioned fictional things, automatically I gotta fix that. When? Years from now, or whenever that child comes to me crying, saying, I just discovered it wasn't real, and why did you lie to me? I gotta fix that.
But Lee, it's people today that's been culture conditioned into things that still haven't been fixed.
Correct.
And they in their 50s and 60s.
So, okay, let me say this. So that's what I'm talking about, the fixing. Fixing something that's not broken. So if they're thinking that, they're not broken. They're just thinking something that's broken about something that's not true.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why would it be broken if, you know, I can't pay my bills right now? That's a way of life. Okay, figure it out. Don't let that indicate that you're broken. Let that indicate, hey, I need to just kind of budget my money a little better and start. You're not broken.
Yes.
Right? So let me say, you know, I can't sustain certain things. Okay, what can't you sustain? Are they yours? Are they needs? Figure it out. Trim the fat. They're not needs. You're not broken. You just had too many things that you were trying to juggle.
So like in here you were saying that you have to take itty bitty baby steps.
Correct.
So like society telling you got a 500 credit score.
Mm-hmm.
So you're broken. But what you're saying in the fixing is, no, that 500 score don't make you.
Correct.
Now you just got to take itty bitty steps because it's a way that you can fix that.
Correct.
You can fix that. Just
Yes.
small little baby steps. There's certain things you can do. And you know, you got a 500 credit score. Find out what you can pay. You got $5 extra a month. Pay this. $5 extra a month. Pay that. But it's a way you can fix it. But culturally, they tell you with that 500 credit score, you stuck right here for the rest of your life.
So if I had to say, you know, how do I fix my unbroken self? If I had to say that, I would say, first identify the things that you're saying that you're broken with, the things that break you, or breaking you, excuse me. If they're your needs, or if they're somebody else's, right?
Before you go too far, so what you're saying is identify whether these things are actually broken or they're just culturally conditioned broken.
Yeah, the source. Like, what is the source of my brokenness?
Okay.
Right? And figure out if they're a need, if that's something that you need, if that event or thing that you've identified as a source of your brokenness Do you need that in your life? If you need it, then it's not broken. You just need to figure out how to make it more seamless, a more seamless part of your life. Right? It might be the credit where you can't get into an apartment or transportation you need. So guess what? That means that you're going to have to accept your situation now and make sure that your next decision on your money flow goes so that the score goes up, fixes the score. The score needs fixing, not you.
Not you.
Right?
Yes.
You know, the score needs fixing so that way you can make more things available to you. Like I think sometimes it's work, like if you need a clearance. Sometimes it's to get in a better apartment or a house. Sometimes it might your car's about to break down and you need another one that's more dependable for a few years. You have to determine those priorities, and none of them make you broken though, right? None of them make you broken.
Everything, the situation is broken.
Mm-hmm.
That you identify. Am I saying is the situation is broken?
The source of what you think is breaking you.
So okay, let's use another example. You homeless. What would be the source? What's the source that's breaking you? You have to identify, and I'll let you elaborate.
Do you want to live in a house or apartment?
That's a whole different story, man.
Right.
We can start something completely different because people got this strange thing in their head that people is homeless because their situation, but some people is homeless because they want to be.
Correct.
And I talked to homeless people before. I knew homeless people, and when you talk to them, say, well, okay, they have shelters, they have places for veterans I can go, but those places have walls, rules, and guidelines. And right now, I just want to live off the grid. You know, this is where I can find me at. It goes back to what you were saying. In my bubble, me being homeless, I'm not broken.
Correct.
You said I was broken because I'm homeless. But me, I'm content.
Because you're not doing the things that I think society and the cultural conditioning is telling me you're supposed to be doing.
You eat that butter pecan ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. So automatically, when I look at you, I see brokenness because I'm comparing you to the things outside of your bubble. I think, not you, I'm comparing you to the things outside your bubble that I think are important.
Yeah. And I may be 10 times more happier than you
100%.
because you driving a Corvette, a 2025 Corvette with 25-inch rims on it and paying $7,000 a month car payments on it, and I'm sitting over here and I'm eating beanie weenies and I'm warming up over a fire, and I'm 10 times more happier than you. But society say he should be happy because butter pecan is in and chocolate ice cream is out.
And the reason to that is that person with the car and stuff is following. Right?
That's deep.
That's following others.
Yes.
And the person that's homeless eating beanie weenies is following themselves.
Yes. And content.
100%, because like I said, the fixing is not broken. You're not broken. Fixing the unbroken is not there because you're not broken. You're never broken because you determine what the source of brokenness is.
You write the book of standards for yourself.
100%.
The book of standards is written by me. The book of rules is written by me. And if I follow these guidelines, I'm gonna live a happy life.
The kicker is now not care what anybody outside the bubble thinks.
Yes.
Right? Because if you're doing good, folks radiate to good. Good will radiate to good, be drawn to it. Right? And other people that's doing the same in the same mindset, they're going to be able to live in a harmonious manner with you in your space whenever it's connected or close.
Yeah, at one time, I met, and I didn't know they still exist, and if it's offending, I'm not trying to, but they said they was hobos, train hoppers. And people don't realize that these people are still there. And I met a group of them on my way to Louisiana, and they was at the truck stop, and we stopped and we talked. And one of them, this guy, he had his doctorate. He was 32 years old. And he said one day, I just decided like, hey man, I want to see America. And he said now he done been out here for like 3 years, hopping trains. But he allowed himself to say, okay, this is my inner bubble. These people around me, like he said, is going to be drawn because good is not necessary financial.
Correct.
Good is not necessary good looks. Good is a happy feeling that you have, content in your bubble.
It's universal.
Yes.
That we have to actively push away. Right?
Yes.
So a person actively pushing away being good, that takes a lot of labor. And it takes a lot of influence from other people that actively push away good within and care. That's why we see so little groups that give back freely, regardless of the cost.
Yeah.
They give back to communities, they hand coats out. You know, those entities are shrinking. Why? Because it's non-profit.
Yes. And people want to eat.
Yeah, they want to eat, but some people use that to make profit.
Yes.
Right? So one of the unique things about identifying that you're not broken at all is the freedom of mind. It's less voices in your head saying that, hey, look at this, you're not doing this and that, so you need to. And if you don't wake up with this focus doing these things, you're not actively participating in the broken, conditioned environment. Because, and you think about the hobos, right, that you talked about. It takes a lot of work and unrecognition, I can use that, of self to participate in society today. Because it moves so fast and is so unobligated to you. And the analogy you say, the train, the train is moving so fast, and if you don't jump on that condition and that following train, you're dismissed.
Yes.
And people will let you know that you're not about anything and your life is terrible because you can't get on the train, the golden carrot, right? So I think a person, if they truly want to slow down for a moment, think about, the bubble. And what it talks about is that love yourself first, and you're going to find out it don't take much.
Yeah.
And it's passionate love too.
But then when you look at the bubble and you have these people that's in your first layer of the bubble. Now these people in the first layer of the bubble, you were saying that these people should be in there and you should be able to ask them any questions, and they shouldn't have any judgment. 100%. And when I read that, I was like, dude, human nature gonna cause us, no matter what, like if I ask you, hey man, why you got on a red shirt, a maroon shirt? To you, that may hurt your feelings. So if I'm in your first layer and I ask you that and it hurt your feelings, am I asking you that in judgment? I'm not asking you that in judgment. I'm asking you because I want to know the question.
So if you read my first layer, you ask me why I got a certain color shirt on. I'm thinking I didn't get the memo. Like, oh man, and you're looking out for them. Right? But if you're asking it because it's not fitting into something I didn't know about before, it's not me, it's you.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm perfectly dressed.
Yes.
Because I'm dressing on the awareness of no standard. And it was not directed to me to do a certain thing. So hey, I just wore my clean shirt.
So tomorrow you wear a dirty shirt.
It's black, right? Where's your black shirt?
Where's your black shirt? But you was talking about the trim the fat. And that's why I wanted to go into that. So when you're saying trim the fat, and when you go into the trim the fat phase, let's talk about that. because I jumped the gun and went to the people that you have in your in a bubble. But now, how do you trim the fat with the people in order to get them to fix the unbroken me? Not as you fixing yourself in the unbroken me.
Start selecting who you have around you.
Okay.
And the baby steps is slowly not actively participate in the things that cause them to be there.
Okay.
Right? And some of the things are just habitual. We just do it by habit. You know, or some of the things we do it because of the guilt trip. Right?
Yeah, you know, like say for an example, hey man, everybody go to church on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like going to church on Wednesday, but you hang around people that go to church every Wednesday. So you're saying, okay, if this is not what you are, you're not broken because you don't go.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm hanging around those type of people, that's part of the fat I got to cut away.
Find a church on the day you like to go.
Exactly.
It's okay because you get to say so.
Because you control your bubble.
Correct. 100% you do, because if I allow okay, this is how it goes, right? So if I'm not controlling my bubble, somebody else is. Now these people or situations or office, businesses I'm allowing to control my bubble, they get say so. And then if I don't meet their standard, they tell me I'm broken.
You substandard.
100%. So guess what I do? Like, I'm not participating in that. I just trim so much fat and things I don't have to think about. Now let them, because they attract each other, let them attract each other and do what they do.
And then every Wednesday they can go.
Yeah.
And then you find a group on Thursdays that, hey, when I go down on Thursday, no judgment.
Yeah.
Hey.
And you find out that church is better.
Oh, yeah.
Than Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah, on Wednesdays. Yeah, because it fits you.
Correct.
It's your comfort zone. It puts you in a place of comfort. Yeah.
100%.
So we talked about culture conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about fixing the unbroken me. Is there any other thing that you think we left out about fixing the unbroken me? We don't, because some of the comments, we don't want people to leave here that we put something out there and we didn't show them the steps because the number one thing in fixing it, what I got out of it, it starts in here.
Correct.
And not only does it start in here, it ends in here.
It continuously operates within.
Yes. Everything you need is right inside to fix whatever's broken in you.
Correct.
You know, a thing I like to tell people, 99% of things that we have broken, we can fix ourselves. Because of the simple fact, why? Because we control what's inside our bubble.
So we're not broken.
We ain't broken.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't broken.
Anybody who spends a lot of energy trying to fix things within them that somebody else's, they're going to think they're broken. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're doing something for somebody else and you hadn't trimmed the fat yet, they can't make up their mind on what they want because they don't know.
They don't know what makes them happy.
They just know that you're going to take care of it and they're going to hold you accountable to do it. So, like we always do, we give a call for action. I would say, for me, in my opinion, in the bubble, and fall in the bubble, I would say the first thing a person has to do is determine what's other people's stuff in their life. And if you go to the YouTube channel, Constructive Talks at YouTube, it's the segment on that, other people's stuff. You have to, from your workplace to your home to your social network, identify what's other people's stuff and give it back immediately.
Have a house spring clean.
Yeah, that's one, and that's okay because it's theirs. This is not yours. Because you can spend time.
Ain't this mine?
Yeah, you can have that.
But I really need you to fix this for me, please.
And yeah, right? So if you do that, identify what's other people's stuff, give it back to them, and then the remainder stuff that's yours.
Hey, Lee, before you leave that, it's one thing that we talked about the other day.
Okay.
I said, sometimes you need people in your life, and he got me straight on this. I said, sometimes you need help in your life to fix things, you know. And when you need help in your life to fix things, you need somebody to carry that burden for you.
Mm-hmm.
But then you came back with swimming a gym, and he said this, I ain't say this, but I'm gonna stick with it. He gave the parable about the footsteps in the sand.
Oh wow!
And Lee was saying how in the actual passage it says that, you know, when you was going through things, it was only one set of footprints. Mm-hmm. And everybody said during that time God was carrying you.
No.
Jesus was carrying you.
Okay.
But in Lee's version, and I got to agree with this, God is with you during the good times, and he's training you, and he's shielding you from these things. Mm-hmm. And then once he prepared you, because he said he prepares a table before me. Mm-hmm. So now once he prepared you for these things, now the only way you're going to know that you can pass the test, you're going to have to go through them.
Correct.
And so now you're going to have to walk alone.
Correct.
And you're going to have to walk alone and fix those things that you felt was weighing you down.
Correct.
You already been given the tools.
Correct.
You're given the tools, and now you see those one footprints in the sand. Because just like when you learn how to ride a bike, what happened? Your parents is pushing you on the bike, and then you ride, and then next thing you hear a voice from the distance said, "You're doing it, and you look back and you fall because your parents didn't let you go. And it's the same thing with the footprints in the sand.
And I think it's 2 footprints,
And
then it's 4, and then it's 2.
Yes.
Right? And I think it was you, and then it was Jesus.
Yes.
And then it was Jesus carrying you.
It was you by yourself. Mm-hmm. You and Jesus was walking together. And then after you and Jesus was walking together, next thing you know, you just see one set of footprints. Mm-hmm. So the poem says, "Lord, I looked up during my hardest time. Mm-hmm. I was walking alone."
Correct.
And then he said, "No, you wasn't walking alone. I was carrying you."
And that was his steps.
That was his steps,
okay,
carrying you. But then the way you changed it and said, "No, it's the bicycle."
So I look at it like this. So it's the 2, the 4, the 2, and the struggle is the 4, I think. And
yes.
then the 2 after that.
No, the struggle is the 2.
The 2. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
yes.
Okay. So I didn't read it again actually. But think about it like this: you're by yourself, and then with 2 prints, and then you have 4 prints as your mentor, your faith, or whoever's in your life that guides you, that you choose it to be. And then the 2 is, hey, you got it. Go get it. Because during the mentorship phase is where you get to depend on the skills that you've been doing forever and identify the fat that needs to be trimmed. Identify what's yours and what's somebody else's, right? And then you say, okay, yes, I can do this. And then you go do it. Baby steps, right? Itty bitty steps in the sand, do it. And then you can always go back to your mentor, your faith, with the 4 footprints. Boom, then you go back with the 2 again. Because you can do, it's all a process of believing from within, because you are the purpose of your life.
Yes, and then going back to what you were saying is the stuff that people are saying, the first thing you got to do is get rid of other people's problems.
No, we're not going to call it problems. Other people's stuff.
Other people's stuff.
Because it might be some good stuff, but they just dump it on you to do it.
So you get rid of other people's stuff.
Get it back.
And yes, they need help, but you help them.
Help themselves.
Help themselves. Let me help you. Help me to help you.
Correct.
That's in this book. I spelled that out in the book. And so when you when you give these people this stuff back, you're not being selfish.
No.
You doing the thing that they tell you on the plane. Hey, you got a baby, but put your mask on first.
I think people say nowadays, you're doing too much. Isn't that like the statement?
Yes.
Or you're doing too much. That's true when you're trying to get your mindset back. Sometimes you're doing too much. That kid that's 5, 6, 7, man, they can do a lot of things if you teach them.
Yes.
That you don't have to do anymore. Right? So.
Give a man a fish to eat for a day.
Yeah.
Teach him how to fish, eat for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So give him the fishing pole. Yeah. That's his fishing pole. Mm-hmm. That's my pole, Paul.
So as early as possible, understanding that you have the authority in your life to make your life comfortable and your surroundings comfortable for you to exist is important. For you to exist is important because without your existence, you can't help anybody else, I don't think.
No.
I think that's kind of impossible.
So, hey, y'all, we enjoyed y'all today. Hey, tell a phone, tell a friend, tell everybody that, share these Facebook Lives, and we'll be here every week. Once a week, we'll come in, we'll talk about different things. We're going to continue to talk about the book for a couple more weeks, and then after that, we'll move on to a different topic. But right now, this book is so juicy, man. We're getting so much feedback off of it. We just want to ride it for a little while longer. Mr. Wright, we appreciate you being in the cave. And like I said, if you want to come in the cave and sit down and talk to either constructive talks or either real talk, real fathers, real man, just shoot me a direct message on my Facebook or Instagram. On Instagram is jwitty, j_witty.e. And let us know. And Mr. Wright, how can they find you?
Constructive Talks, LRW on YouTube and Facebook, the same thing. And like and subscribe, you know the deal. You kind of get notifications. Other than that, I would just say the call to action is, in order to trim the fat, identify what's yours and what's somebody else's first. And go through the process of giving it back to them. You don't have to dump it in their lap, right? The baby steps, and give it back to them because you are the purpose. And remain the purpose, okay? That's all I have.
Hey, y'all, it's been real. It's been fun. But hey, bruh, we gotta run. We out.